series of IAME X30 at Mariembourg. A lot of them have risen to the plate in fantastic style. So now it's time to get the main race, the main event for the Senior X30s underway. And it's going to be an absolutely incredible race for them as they will get into the meaty part of the race action. This is the one that all of the drivers want to win. And they will do an absolutely fantastic job, even if they are in the top 10. When you consider that there's 70 drivers to race against and you're in the sharp end. Rufus, you know all about that. Commiserations that you're not on this grid this time, but you know how tough it is when the quality of the field is this strong.
Yeah, there's so many drivers this weekend and through all the Euro Series really, and it's just if you have one mess up, then your weekend's just so much harder.
And obviously you're in with a great team. We've obviously got the Fusion Motorsport team out there who've been supporting you over the course of the weekend. There are a couple of the drivers from the Fusion team out there on this final grid, of course, so it's going to be interesting to see how they make progress.
Yeah, it will be.
So, Eli Goldstein and Clayton Ravenscroft on the front of the grid from Jordan Brown-Nutley and Joe Turney. Vincent Marceau and Henky Waldschmidt. Siim Liedmar and William Godefroid, and then Ali Ackerby and Angus Moulsdale in the top 10. Isaac Valtonen and Niels Coonan, and then Philip Vava and Morgan Porter. And then we have Ruben Moyer and Danny Curl from Nicolas Pico and Milan Petelet. In behind them, it is Rens van Pelt and Thomas Imborg, Noah Ruvers and Danny Budshu, Joey van Spunteren and Carlos Saval-Martin, Sebastian de Grand, Ben Fires, Sylvester Alexievas, Levi Lintucanto, Sean Butcher, Camille Bruteau, Owen Byatt, Felix Walger, and then Harry Platten and Thomas Fleming at the back of the grid. I'm going to ask you the hardest question I'm going to ask you while you're up in this commentary box now, Rufus. Pick a winner. I know that's really hard in this field. Pick a winner. Who do you think would do it?
Eli Goldstein, to be fair, because he's just, there's so many talented drivers in this field, but I just think that he's got the edge this weekend with just the raw speed that he has out front. He can just do time after time after time, and I think that's going to be very hard for the likes of Ravenscroft and Brown-Nutley to beat.
So obviously there's some really good talent at the field. We've seen the likes of Vincent Marceau and Henky Waldschmidt in the top 6 all weekend long as well. But with Siim Liedmar and William Godefroid in the mix, you've got also Ali Ackerby and Angus Moulsdale. Moulsdale has done a fantastic job since stepping up from junior champion to senior competitor, and he is right in the mix. There may be even the chance that Angus Moulsdale could run that top 5 today.
Yeah, Angus is a very good driver, especially in the European category, and he's just made a good step up to the seniors. I think he struggled a little bit at Salbury, had a few crashes, but now he's properly stepped up his game and back to where he normally should be.
So Eli Goldstein is hoping that this is going to be his hometown hero moment, because obviously we've had Belgians towards the front in every race, but thus far there has not been the Belgian victory. We've had Alejandro Melendez giving Spain a very worthy victory. We've had Estonian victory for Sten Dorian Piramagi, and now we've had a Frenchman take the victory in the Junior X30 for Enzo Juliet, the Montpellier master. But now it's time to see if we will get a 4th different nation, and will it be a home victory for Eli Goldstein? Everybody in Belgium and France, his family back home, will all be hoping so. So let's see how he goes alongside Clayton Ravenscroft, the Nigel Mansell of the IAME European Series. I don't know how he finds his way back up here every single time to the front, but here he goes. Let's go racing at Mariembourg for the last time today. And it's Goldstein into the first corner, no problem at all. Round the outside, Ravenscroft still got enough grip. They're going to be side by side by the time they get there. Ravenscroft superior braking. How did he find that on the outside? Ravenscroft takes the lead from Goldstein. Absolutely a sensational moment. And there's an off there for one of the BMR drivers. That looks like Thomas Fleming has gone off there at the back of the field in the 224. Now, he has recovered fairly quickly. We've got a couple of puffs of the dirt from elsewhere. But at the moment, it looks like a fairly clean start for this 18-lap encounter. But Ravenscroft is leading from Goldstein and Brown-Nutley. Joe Turney in there in P4 from Henky Waldschmidt, the ex-Toyota Formula 1 test driver. How an amazing race this is going to be from the top 5. But where did Ravenscroft find that braking on the second corner? Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move by Clayton. I think he just thought, I've got this, and he just went in really hard and just found the grip, and it just paid off.
That's incredible. Well, that's going to unsettle Eli Goldstein, but he has to regroup, get himself up the order, and Joe Turney back in the 3rd position. Now, he will be wanting more than anything to get past Goldstein and work with his teammate to get away, but let's not forget that Eli Goldstein has been absolutely meteoric, and through to second goes Turney immediately, and now Waldschmidt is hoping to get in there with Brown-Nutley. They're both through. Goldstein down to 5th all of a sudden. And the KR Sport drivers have got away. Look at that. Ravenscroft and Turney have broken into 1st and 2nd place. That's the 3rd time this weekend they suddenly have found themselves in 1st and 2nd. And that's a little bit of a nudge there as they battle away for position further back. That looks like Godefroid and Coonan battling away with Ali Akabi. Oh, and there's contact further back. That was a little bit clumsy, I'm afraid, from Isaac Valtonen, the Swede, as he dived up the inside there of, I think that was Ruben Moya. And unfortunately, he's ended up losing ground. There's more spots of water on the camera. Are we starting to get more rain in the air? As now through to the lead goes Turney. Turney takes the lead from Ravenscroft, and Waldschmidt takes 3rd position off of Brown Nutley. So Joe Turney hits the front for the first time for a long time here this weekend, but it's him and Ravenscroft now 1st and 2nd, and up into 3rd again comes Brown Nutley. Goldstein trying to go with Waldschmidt, and Goldstein has gone through into P4. So a cracking start to the race then, and Waldschmidt has now dropped to 5th position behind Goldstein, who did this last time, didn't he? He dropped back down the order, but then he fought his way back, so it's not over yet.
No, it's not over because Goldstein, he just has that talent of just getting the laps in, lap after lap after lap. The consistency is just key with him, so I know that he can make his way back up to the front.
Carlos Saval-Martin is currently sat in a low down position at the moment. He's really struggled to make progress since the earlier second chance heat in 31st. He was given a warning flag that time by, unfortunately, Carlos Saval-Martin. But Clayton Ravenscroft, who was leading, is now in 2nd position behind his teammate Joe Turney. Then in 3rd, it is Brown Nutley. 4th is Elie Goldstein. And 5th position for Henki Waldschmidt. William Godefroid is now to 6th place in front of Niels Coonan. Then it is Ali Akabi, the Jordanian. And up the inside goes Jordan Brown Nutley to 2nd place. Jordan Brown Nutley, but Joe Turney's going to get him right back again. And into 2nd position he goes. Or actually, this is that Ravenscroft he's battling away with. My apologies. Yes, it is Ravenscroft battling away there for 2nd position. That's given Joe Turney a little bit of distance. And that is the black and yellow flag, black and white flag, going up for Carlos Saval-Martin. But Clayton Ravenscroft in 2nd position behind his teammate Joe Turney. As far as he's concerned, that's perfectly fine and dandy. He wanted as many points in the championship as possible, and 2nd place will definitely give him a good chance. But we have to remember the man who's not in this race, of course. Mark Kimber did not make it out of the second chance heat because he'd never seen this circuit before Saturday morning. And he's done a great job to move up. Up the inside, Brown Nutley and Goldstein gets past Ravenscroft. Ravenscroft switches straight back to the inside and makes the move. And now Waldschmidt goes through as well. Ravenscroft, in adversity, loses 2 places and gains 1. So he's back to 3rd place as now Goldstein gets up the inside of Waldschmidt. Godefroid trying to get into the mix there with Niels Coonan and Ali Akabi as they try to move forward, but Joe Turney still leading the way. I was going to mention Mark Kimber because he hasn't got any points on the board, but he can just drop this pre-final and final in the championship standings. So even though he's watching from the sidelines, it's definitely not game over for him in the championship, having got maximum points from Sal Breeze. But these guys will want to score as many points as physically possible to get that championship lead down.
Yeah, because obviously Mark Kimber hasn't seen the chap before, so it's very hard for him. And I think he's actually done a very good job to even get where he got, because I think he actually got 2nd in the second chance heat, but he unfortunately got a nose cone. So everyone just wants to score as much points as possible, because no doubt that Kimber will be very good in the next 2 rounds.
So still, it is going to be a tough fight as Joe Turney leads the way from Brown Nutley, Ravenscroft, Elie Goldstein, Henki Waldschmidt from Coonan, Godefroid, Liedmar, Akabi, Valva, and Danny Curl just outside the top 10. There goes Godefroid. Godefroid makes the move on the inside, and Ali Akabi is up the inside of Siim Liedmar as well. So some good battles there, some great racecraft. And outside the top 10, we have Danny Curl in 11th from Felix Varga. Then it is Ruben Moya. Then chasing after them, Pico, Mulsdale, Valtonen, Ruvers, Marceau, Petele from Bundschu, Alexievas and Rens van Pelt, who is having a really nightmarish race after starting so strong. Sean Butcher likewise, double winner of course. Sean Butcher should be further up the field in my opinion, but he's had no luck today compared to yesterday. Morgan Porter, Camille Pretot, Joey van Spuntelen, Harry Platten, Thomas Imborg, and then completing the field we have Fleming, de Grand, Fires, Savel Martin, Lintucanto and Bayet. And there they come as they go through turn 1 once again. No retirements, just an awful lot of hustling round there as they continue to battle away. And we are on the 7th lap of 18. There's still a long way to go, and we still don't really know who is going to get this victory. Could be any one of the top 5, but then in 6th position chasing after them is Niels Coonan, and he's won a race so far this weekend, so he knows how to get the job done.
Yeah, Niels Coonan did win a race, which is very good, because I don't think he's ever won a race before at this level. And I know that he can do very well in this race.
So they're in 6th position as he tries to make progress. Ravenscroft has dragged Goldstein and Waldschmidt onto the tail of Jordan Brown-Nutley. So for Clayton Ravenscroft, it's definitely not game over. We are 1/3 distance through, 6 down, 12 to go, including this one. So when they come over the line, there'll be 11 laps left, and they have still got to keep pounding around at full tempo all the way round it. Joe Turney, Jordan Brown-Nutley goes for the lead, and Brown-Nutley makes the move stick into the first corner, but he's run wide on the exit. Turney's going to come back through, and here's a chance for Ravenscroft. Got very late on the brakes there to dive in and actually hit his teammate, but somehow managed to get through. So that was very nicely done from Ravenscroft into 2nd position, but I wonder, with that sort of charge into the back of Turney, you've got to be considering the possibility of a nose cone. If it has been dislodged, then that's going to be a cruel rob of a penalty there.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very fair, I don't think, because I think it was just one of those moves where there's just not enough room. But there was enough room, but there's just not enough space for it to happen. So I just think that wouldn't be fair.
Well, I hope against hope that all of the drivers are going to come away from that one without any nose cone issues. That was a big knock, but it takes quite a lot to knock those nose cone fairings out of place, to be fair. You've got to be very careful about how you go about your motor racing, and there are definite ways you can get it dislodged. But a move like that, he might be able to get away with. Goldstein up the inside of Brown-Nutley. 3rd position, still up for grabs. He doesn't make the move stick. Meanwhile, further back, it looks to me as though Angus Morsdale is biting off a lot more than he's able to chew at the moment as he fights his way back onto the tail of the group chasing after Danny Curl. So a good little battle there. The fastest lap of the race comes from the local man, Felix Warge, who has done a very good job there. But the 318 is still moving forward. Warge is actually up into 9th place now, so it's a good comeback after falling down the order in one of the previous races. But it's 1 and 2 once again for the Cosmic Racing Sport team. Joe Turney and Clayton Ravenscroft, 1 and 2. Brown-Nutley in 3rd, 4th Illy Goldstein, and he is going to be still everybody's race favourite. We're still waiting to see what the weather is doing. Oh, there's a yellow flag. We've got 2 or 3 carts off up at turn 7. That's all gone very badly wrong for 3 of them. And it looks like it's front runners. Godefroid, Liedmar and Ali Akabi involved in that one. So that's 3 big names as Ravenscroft takes the lead of the race back. Halfway home, Ravenscroft is leading. 9 down, 9 to go. And we've lost Godefroid, Liedmar and Akabi from the top 10 battle. That opens up several drivers to move further forward. But that's a real disaster for Akabi, Godefroid and Liedmar.
Yeah, because they are putting some very good laps and closing in on the leader, but they must have just got too close for comfort and just crashed out, unfortunately.
Well, Turney has gone back past his teammate Ravenscroft for the moment, so they're swapping positions, but it's definitely going to be a winner from these 6, isn't it? As Goldstein tries to get on the inside of Brown-Nutley, hasn't been able to get there. Waldschmidt in 5th from Niels Coonan, and they are going to go down the inside again. Brown-Nutley trying to get on the inside of Ravenscroft. Don't even think about it, says Clayton. And Illy Goldstein tried his best to get into 3rd place there. Wasn't able quite to make it happen. So he's now going to have to struggle. Now Goldstein up the inside for 3rd position. Jordan Brown-Nutley going to try and squeeze him out as they come over the curbs down the main straight. Look at this squabble. Joe Turney is being allowed a country mile in front. Clayton Ravenscroft determined to hang on to 2nd position. Jordan Brown-Nutley in 3rd from Goldstein, Waldschmidt and Coonan. And then in 7th place, that looks to me like Felix Warge has come back up the order. So Warge is actually working very hard here to move his way further forward. So this is going to be a really interesting run to the flag for these guys. So Felix Warge is going very well indeed. But Clayton Ravenscroft still hanging on a 2nd, and Goldstein's down to 6th place now. Waldschmidt through, Coonan through. A tough race here for Illy Goldstein. And he is working so hard to get to the top of the dais on home soil, but it looks like it's going to be a British 1, 2, 3, in fact, at the moment, because we've got Turney, Ravenscroft and Brown-Nutley in the top 3, and that just shows, you know, the pace and the level of senior X30 drivers. You're a racer not just here in Europe, but also in the senior X30 and junior X30 back in Britain. The top quality level of X30 racing back in the UK is incredible, and that's why we see so many of these talents at the sharp end in Europe.
Yeah, Britain has some very good drivers, and I think it's just the way that we get the drivers to get the most out of the car, and I just think it's the way that we work back in Britain, and I think that's why we get some of the best drivers out of our country.
Goldstein is desperately struggling to hang on here, down to 6th position in front of Felix Warge. and that's a really big problem as far as he is concerned, because Goldstein wanted to be leading this race from the word go, and he's really struggled to hold on to it because Clayton Ravenscroft really unsettled him with that move around the outside at turn 2, and that has definitely changed the dynamic of this race. But Joe Turney is now a long way in front of Clayton Ravenscroft. Having to have that little battle with the likes of Brown Nutley, Waldschmidt and Goldstein has really compromised the chasing pack. So Joe Turney now finds himself quite a considerable way out in front. The gap is less than a second, and Clayton Ravenscroft is getting closer as Goldstein makes the move on Niels Coonan. So Goldstein comes up into 5th position. 6 laps to go, 12 done. So we are 2/3 of the way through this race. There are still some epic battles everywhere you look around the circuit, and there are going to be some great driving battles as they continue. But up at the front, the leaders are still pulling away. Joe Turney and Clayton Ravenscroft. Jordan Brown Nutley in 3rd place. Waldschmidt, Goldstein and Coonan in the top 6, sorry. Goldstein has now dropped Niels Coonan into the clutches of Varge, Pico and Danny Curl as they battle away to close up. And they're not too far away from the leaders now either. Those 2 or 3 drivers that were in the hunt a little further back, they are starting to get into this now. Danny Curl has got past Nicolas Pico and is up into 8th place. So the reigning world champion may still have a part to play in this one.
Yeah, Danny Curl's a very, very good driver, and whenever you think that you've seen the best of him, he just pulls something out of the bag.
So Danny Curl trying to make progress as he goes forward. He's behind these 2 at the moment as they come through. Nicolas Pico and Niels Coonan. Curl is in 9th place. They're going to battle. Careful, guys. Give each other room. Well, that was nicely done by Niels Coonan. But now straight away, back on the inside comes Nicolas Pico, who will still feel aggrieved that he's not further up the order because he was very fast over the course of practice and qualifying. So Nicolas Pico is one of those drivers who, over 1 lap, there's very few to beat him. But in racecraft, he's always been one of those drivers who gets hung out to dry. It's very unfortunate when you've got a driver who over 1 lap is flawless, Jarno Trulli style. But unfortunately, Jarno Trulli only ever won 1 Grand Prix in his life, and that was Monaco, when overtaking was very difficult. So it was always going to be a tough battle for him, and you can kind of see that in the world of karting as well. Drivers who are good over 1 lap is one thing. To keep it going over the course of 18 laps in racecraft and in tough battles, that's a different matter.
Yeah, because you can be fast on 1 lap, but then when you get hung out to dry, you lose a lot of time. Whereas the drivers who maybe are a couple of tenths off but more consistent, they're the ones who are going to finish nearer the front.
4 laps to go, and Clayton Ravenscroft has not given up, closing up on the leader Joe Turney. This is the battle a little bit further back. We're watching Isaac Valtonen, Philip Vava and Angus Morsdale, the reigning junior X30 European champion, having made the step up to seniors this year. He's made a very good start of it and has worked very well in the early stages. So now it's just a question of continuing on this good pace. Joe Turney, Clayton Ravenscroft, and now into 3rd place has come Henrik Waldschmidt. So Waldschmidt has moved up into P3. That leaves Jordan Brown Nutley vulnerable to Eli Goldstein, and that is going to be an interesting battle. But Joe Turney has got pace, Clayton Ravenscroft has got determination, and what if these 2 now get into the battle with 2 laps to go? 3 laps to go as they come across this time, but in the last 2 laps, look, Turney is defending from Clayton Ravenscroft. Ravenscroft is going to try and sweep through on the inside line. Here he goes, Turney's not leaving him any room. The 2 teammates touch, and Ravenscroft gets spun out. 3rd position now, 4th position. Joe Turney absolutely determined that his teammate wasn't going to come by. Shades of Hamilton and Rosberg, and Turney's collided. Turney's gone off there with Jordan Brown Nutley. They both recover, but that is absolute heartbreak for both of them. Neither of them is going to win this final. So who's in the lead now? I think it is, well, that is Goldstein battling away. That's never the lead of the race. It's 2nd position behind Waldschmidt. I really would have eaten my hat then if Goldstein had gone into the lead from all of that. But now look at the top 3. We've got Henke Waldschmidt, Eli Goldstein and Felix Warge. That's a really impressive top 3. Ravenscroft is in 4th, so he still has a chance, but now he's only got 2 laps to make progress. But him and his teammate Joe Turney tangling together. I said shades of Hamilton and Rosberg. I wasn't really as far away from the truth as I intended to be.
Yeah, I think because obviously everyone wants to get the win, and I just think it got tangled up there. I just think both of them were a little bit too desperate, and it ended up in a crash.
And now that means that Waldschmidt is leading the way. Goldstein in 2nd from his countryman Felix Varge, and Clayton Ravenscroft in 4th place, desperately trying to catch him. Now, that's the best of a bad jog from Ravenscroft, isn't it, in 4th position, because that's still very good championship points, and he'll be very happy when he looks back on it and looks at the tally and realises, I haven't lost that much in terms of positions, but that's going to be a tricky one to explain when him and Joe Turney get back to it. They're good mates, those two, as well. So I wonder what they're going to be like when they get back to the pits.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some arguments, I can tell, but I'm sure they'll resolve them.
Elie Godstein has got one more lap to try and get on terms with the Dutchman out in front. He's been there, he's done it all, from the Formula Renault Euro Cup 2 Litre Series to European Formula 3. He even got the call up from the Toyota Formula 1 team in their dying days to do some testing for them. So Henke Waldschmidt has been to the top of the tree and seen it all, loves his senior karting, and knows that this is always going to be a tough battle. But he came to battle exactly when he needed to, and he's going to win Senior X30 if he keeps this up. But Elie Godstein at least is going to get on the podium in his battle with Felix Warge if he can continue this sort of pace. It's been a really interesting Senior X30 final. I'm not sure many people would have said, oh, Henke Waldschmidt for the win, no problem. But we knew he was always going to be a factor. He comes through those final few corners. Elie Godstein, I think, is going to have enough on Felix Warge to finish the podium, those two. But Henke Waldschmidt has risen to the A game. We thought he might be a Magic Master, but here he comes. Henke Waldschmidt is victorious in Mariembourg, and it's an amazing result for Waldschmidt. Superb drive from the Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman. Henke Waldschmidt has done it in style. Second place for Elie Godstein, third place for Felix Warge. Clayton Ravenscroft came home in fourth in front of his teammate Joe Turney. And let's put it this way, I'm not going to be the person, I don't want to be the person in the Chaos Sport awning after that one. They were first and second, and with 3 laps to go, that all unravelled very quickly.
Yeah, that won't be the best of situations, but I just think sometimes that happens, like with Hamilton and Rosberg the same. I just think when they get too desperate, then it all goes wrong.
We had a couple of drivers off by the end of the race as well. Ben Fayers and Tom Fleming, unfortunately, didn't come home on the last lap either. But Henke Waldschmidt taking the victory from Elie Godstein and Felix Warge. Clayton Ravenscroft and Joe Turney, 4th and 5th from Nicolas Pico and Niels Coonan. Danny Curl in the top 10 from Isaac Valtonen and Jordan Brown-Nutley. Then Angus Morsdale and Milan Petelet, Vincent Marceau, Ruben Moyer, Sean Butcher and Morgan Porter from Roovers, Platten, Brutteau and Van Splutteren in the top 20. Then Rens van Pelt, Thomas Imburg, Danny Bunschu, Philip Valva. And then behind them,